Most people walk into the markets the same way they walk into a casino. Hoping, guessing, and feeling. And then they wonder why they keep losing. But what if I told you that consistent results in the markets and while investing have nothing to do with finding the perfect stocks? It's all about your mentality and your mindset. Today we're going to deep dive into something that is completely going to change the way that you're thinking about the markets and the way you're investing or trading. Some ideas in this video are inspired by the book Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. My name is Simon, and I'm here to explain everything around finances and add my personal experiences and ideas to that. Here's something that nobody tells you when you first start investing. The human mind and body is not made to be in that environment. Our brains evolved for thousands of years to keep us safe, to recognize patterns, to avoid pain, and to repeat what had worked before. Those are incredible survival tools, but in the markets, it completely destroys you. Every time you have a negative experience in the markets while investing or trading, your brain doesn't just file it away, it attaches an emotion to it. And the next time that you're making a similar move, trade, or invest in a similar stock, that same negative feeling will come creeping back in. Your brain is screaming, remember what happened last time? This is called an association. Our brains are literally wired to connect past experiences to current situations. One bad trade can bring up the weight of every single mistake that you've ever made while trading or investing. And the real trap is that you start making decisions based on these negative emotions. You hesitate when you shouldn't hesitate. You hold positions for too long because your brain and your ego can't accept being wrong again. The market didn't beat you. Your own mind did. Most people approach investing with one approach that is deeply wrong. They believe that outcomes are random. And because they think that outcomes are random, they approach each of their investments or trades as gambling. But here's the distinction that you need to make that changed everything for me. Yes, each individual trade is uncertain. You genuinely cannot know with 100% certainty how the trade is going to perform. But a series of trades? That's a completely different story. I want you to think about the casino for a second. The casino doesn't know if it will win on one single hand of blackjack. That outcome is uncertain. But the casino knows with 100% certainty that it will win over 10,000 hands, because the mathematical edge is in its favor. By the way, if you don't know what an edge is, it's basically your personal advantage in the markets, and this is why you think a trade is going that way or that way. So the casino doesn't gamble. It executes on a system. That's exactly how professional market makers and institutions are thinking about the markets. They have a very important switch in their minds. They think in probabilities. Mark Douglas breaks down thinking in probabilities in 2 levels. And I want to keep this very simple for you, so stick to it. First, you got the micro level. Embrace the uncertainty. Every single trade is unique. Even if you've seen the exact setup and the exact market structure hundreds of times, each and every trade is unique. The market conditions, the market patterns, everything is unique. You have to accept, genuinely accept, that you do not know what the trade is about to do. Most people say that they do not know what the trade is about to do, but the moment the trade goes against what they thought it would do, the anger comes back up, the fear and the anxiety. That's not acceptance. That's waiting for confirmation that you were right. And then we have the macro level. Trust your system. While each individual trade is kind of uncertain, a series of trades is relatively predictable. And the degree of that predictability is determined by one thing: the strength of your edge. Your edge is your system, your strategy, your specific conditions under which you enter or exit a trade or an investment. If your edge gives you a 60% win rate over 100 trades, then losing one trade means nothing. 10 losing trades means nothing. You're playing a longer game. The problem is that most people never really develop a real edge. Most people invest on tips, feelings, and things that they listen to or read on social media. And then they are shocked why the results are inconsistent. Inconsistent outputs will always produce inconsistent results. And now I want to get really practical. Most investors, and you too, are operating on certain beliefs that they have about the stocks or markets or any investment that they do. Beliefs about the economy and beliefs about what should happen. But what is the problem with beliefs? Beliefs are personal. They are emotional. And when the market contradicts them, your ego gets involved. Professional traders operate off systems. A system has no ego. It doesn't attach emotions to every single trade that you take. A system simply asks, does the market meet this criteria, yes or no? And this is where market analysis comes in. What you're actually doing when you're trying to analyze the markets or stocks is trying to recognize behavioral patterns, not charts of people. Every candlestick, every price movement, everything represents a human decision. Fear, greed, hope, or panic. The same emotions playing out over and over and over again in slightly different forms, time frames, or assets. When you start seeing the markets as collective behavior of human psychology, everything changes. You stop trying to predict the future and you start identifying where your edge has played out in the past before. The final piece, and probably the most important one, is predefining your risk. Before entering an investment or trade, you decide how much you are willing to lose or win. This single habit separates the amateur investor from the professional investor and market makers. Because when you predefine your risk, something psychological shifts. You've already accepted the worst case scenario before it even happened. Which means when the trade goes against you, there is no panic, no desperate decision making. No holding on to a bad trade or hoping that it will go in the other direction. You already made peace with that outcome before you clicked buy. I really want you to start thinking about it, how it would feel if you enter a trade and you wouldn't have any sort of feeling attached to it. You have already made your peace with whatever is going to happen with that trade. I want to close with one statement. The market is not your enemy. Your on-trade mind is. The people who achieve consistent success in the markets aren't the people with the best stock tips or the best complex strategies. It are the people who have done the internal work, who have learned to separate their egos from their trades. People who think in probabilities instead of predictions, who trust their system instead of their feelings. Drop a comment on what's the biggest investment block that you faced while making trades or investing. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, because we're only getting started, and I'll see you in the next one.